welcome to the world-famous Blackpool Illuminations for the show that asks the top professionals what you should be spending your money on. I'm Healey, and in this series, I'll be visiting iconic locations across Britain to ask the country's best experts to show you how to shop like a pro. From cosmetics to power tools, trainers to bullet blenders, our experts will push the most popular products to their limits to help you choose what to buy and why. Tonight, we're talking TVs. 4K, HD, curved, so many to choose from. But what do they all mean? Our experts will tell you which is the best value for money.
Well, that's not brilliant, because the sound just seems to be coming from behind the television.
Also, Naga Munchetti jumps into bed to investigate whether bedding thread counts are accurate.
Or are we having the cotton pulled over our eyes?
And some decorators share their money-saving tricks of the trade.
To stop your lenses getting smothered in paint, you simply need to put some cling film over the top.
If you want the inside track on the latest products from the people really in the know, then look no further. This is what to buy and why. Here in Blackpool, the Illuminations have been an annual fixture since 1879. Back then, the display consisted of just 8 lamps, but it's fair to say things have moved on quite a bit since. Now more than 3.5 million visitors descend on the town each year to enjoy Britain's most popular free light show. And this year, for the first time, the centrepiece of the Illuminations is the tower itself, thanks to this stunning projection show. It was created by tonight's experts, husband and wife team Karen Monid and Ross Aston. With over 20 years' experience designing spectacular audiovisual presentations, they're the perfect people to test TVs for us. How on earth do you get something that big to be that clear?
Above our heads, we have 14 high-power video projectors. It's quite a big system we've got in here.
Powerful. The sound is incredible as well. It just booms out.
The image and the sound work very closely together, so they are interlinked, and then it creates a very complete experience for people.
So you really know your way around audio and visual.
We like to think so.
Yes. It must be a nightmare for you when you go shopping for a telly. But that's exactly what I'm going to make them do. This is the world-famous Empress Ballroom. Normally it hosts international dance championships, but today it's home to, well, a bunch of the very latest tellies. Despite the move towards online viewing, 95% of us still own a TV. And over 9 million new sets are sold every single year. But buying a television isn't as simple as it used to be. There's all sorts of different formats available, all sorts of different prices, and lots of different sizes. It's a minefield. Luckily, our top audiovisual engineers have come down from the tower to help us decide which type of telly represents the best value for money.
You look at that one over there.
On the high street, there are 3 main formats, but which should you go for? HD, 4K, or curved 4K? So what are the main characteristics of an HD television?
So up until very recently, this has been the cutting edge of what you can get in your home as a TV.
Not that long ago, HD was special, but a bit of an expensive purchase.
Things are moving incredibly fast, and the price is constantly, I think, moving in the right direction for the consumer.
Yeah, and the picture's great. It looks fabulous.
Absolutely.
The next option is 4K. And what does the 4K refer to?
Well, 4K means that there are more pixels than you have on HD. You've actually got 4 times the number of pixels.
So if you took any quarter of this screen,
Yes.
then you have the same resolution as you've got in that entire screen.
As someone whose face is sometimes on the television, I find that terrifying because people
Yeah.
can see every blemish, every makeup mistake.
They can be pretty unforgiving.
Wow.
Yeah.
I must remember to exfoliate every single night from now on.
Currently, most programs are televised in HD, but it's thought this will change to 4K within a few years. So that's something our experts need to take into account.
There's the idea of future-proofing yourself for in the future when we will start broadcasting in 4K.
I'm going to have my television for an average about 7 years. I'm future-proofing it so that I'm not going to have to replace it in 2 years if everyone starts broadcasting in 4K.
Right now, the content you can get that's truly 4K is generally through streaming services, so for films or for sport.
4K TVs do cost more than HDs, though, and the latest format to hit the shops, the curved 4K, is even more expensive.
They take a little bit of getting used to. It's quite an unusual effect.
Yes, the theory is that because you're curving the extremities in, instead of the image being stretched into the corners, it's being pushed towards you. And this is supposed to give you a better viewing experience.
But while the cheapest 4K is £300, the curved 4K start at around £700.
That leap in price is huge. I mean, it's a holiday for me and my kids.
As a consumer, you need to really make a decision about whether that extra money is worth it.
So, which format will they save and which will they eliminate? To help us choose what to buy and why.
You've had lots of time to discuss it. Which one is going first?
HD. Buying a TV is an investment buy. An HD TV, you know, might be more obsolete in 2 or 3 years' time.
So which is the next television that is going down? The curve.
In the interest of getting something that's going to be value for money, we think that that has more of a limited appeal.
It's more niche.
Yeah.
As the experts, you would spend your money on the 4K.
Yes.
Yeah. It's ready to take 4K and can already deal with the 4K that's currently streaming into people's homes. It'll be something that will last you 7, 8 years.
4K is not going to go away. A better picture is a better picture.
So now we know which format to choose, there's another vital question. What size telly should you buy? Many of us waste money on a TV that's too big. So later, we'll tell you what you need to know.
In this series, we want to introduce you to top professionals who really know their stuff. Passionate specialists with years of experience whose ingenious shortcuts and money-saving tips could make us all smarter shoppers.
My name is Daniel. I'm head butler here at the Lanesborough, one of London's most prestigious hotels. If you drop wax on your clothing or carpet, there's an easy way to get rid of it. All you need is a brown paper bag, an iron, put it over, press it, the wax is gone. Stick it in the wash and it's as good as new.
I'm Glyn, kit manager for Leeds Rhinos. It's up to me and my team to ensure the kit is gleaming for the next game. Grass stains, hard to move, but no means impossible. Soak the shorts in water for around 15 minutes. Add some white vinegar. The acid should start to break the grass stains down. Scrub with a toothbrush. If needed, add some detergent. Put the garment in the wash, the stains will be gone.
I'm Will. I'm a furniture restorer. There's a cheap and easy way to restore the French polish finish to your furniture using products you can find around your own house. Simply by applying some baby oil onto the surface of the furniture, along with methylated spirits and a clean cloth. Working it in the direction of the grain of the wood will leave you with a lovely, shiny piece of furniture.
Still to come here in Blackpool, we find out how the Illuminations have slashed their electricity bills and how you can do the same at home. But first, our reporter Naga Manchetti investigates if we're getting the full picture when it comes to the quality of one of life's unavoidable purchases, bed linen.
Check the packaging, and you'll find, aside from the size, pretty much the only thing prominently displayed is the thread count of the cotton. This can range from 100 to 1,200, and it tends to be that the higher the number, the more expensive the product.
Does anyone understand what those numbers really mean? I've come to Covent Garden to ask.
If you were buying linen, which would you buy?
1,000.
Why?
Just for the better quality, I suppose. Probably the 1,000 one.
Why?
It's going to be more comfortable, I think.
If it's higher thread count, doesn't it mean that it's better quality?
That's an assumption many of us make, and it seems to completely determine which linen we buy.
There's like a science behind it that says it's definitely better.
But is it right? Where better to find out than Derbyshire and one of Britain's oldest textile mills? Now a working museum. Material has been produced here for more than 100 years. Over to head weaver, Andrew Martin.
Weaving is actually interlocking the threads together, from the back to the front and the left to the right. The thread count is literally the number of threads in a square inch of cloth. The more you get in, the better quality the cloth is.
So the people I met in Covent Garden were right. The higher the thread count, the higher the quality, and that's why we pay a higher price. But how do you and I know if the numbers we're given are accurate? Should we trust what the packaging tells us?
Or are we having the cotton pulled over our eyes?
To find out, I've brought 8 high thread count sheets sold by the biggest bedding retailers to Leeds, where they'll be examined by leading textile analysts, Healey Technologies. Ian Strudwick and his team count the threads in a sample square inch of each sheet. It's a laborious, meticulous process, but one that turns out fascinating results.
So, Ian, what have you found?
In 4 cases, the thread count is calculated on an incorrect basis, which are from Dunelm, John Lewis, Debenhams and House of Fraser.
House of Fraser's luxury hotel collection sheet is marketed as having a thread count of 1,000, yet Ian's tests revealed the thread count is 780. Dunelm's dormer sheet has 452, and John Lewis's Egyptian cotton sheet just 402. Whilst on Ian's count, the Sheridan Palais Luxe sheet sold in Debenhams as having a 1,200 thread count has just 346. So what's going on?
The term thread means one individual shot of yarn inputted into the fabric. In the 4 cases, what we're finding is that there are multiple individual threads which are then twisted together to form a yarn.
Ah, so you could have 3 or 4 threads and then they twist it together and that's one yarn, but they're saying that's 4.
That's correct.
Take the Dunelm sheet. Technically, 1,000 threads are present, but it will feel little different from one with 452. So why do they do this? Why not just use single threads all the time?
It's harder to weave, is more delicate and takes longer and is less efficient than if you twist those 4 individual ends into one yarn and then weave it in as a 4-fold yarn. It's just simply more cost-effective weaving process.
Yet they're still charging us extra.
All 4 retailers deny misleading customers, maintaining their products are high quality and that the use of twisted yarns is an established practice. House of Fraser says as there is no legal definition of thread count, it stands by its numbers, as does Dunelm and John Lewis. Sheridan, the makers of the Debenhams sheets, says using this technique is the only way to make sheets with 1,000+ thread counts of sufficient quality. As a result of our findings, John Lewis has decided it will now make clearer that its sheets include twisted yarns. It's very confusing, isn't it? Of the other 4 sheets we tested, the thread count of 2 was spot on, 1 was slightly overestimated, 1 was dramatically underestimated, saying it was 645, when in fact it was almost 1,000.
So what have I learned from this? Well, I'm going to take Ian's advice. I'm going to buy what I can afford, what feels good, and I'm not just going to focus on that thread count.
Back in Blackpool, we're testing TVs. We typically keep tellies for 7 years, so our experts have decided the best value format for the future is 4K, which poses another question.
How do you know how big a telly to buy? Well, it turns out it's all about the size of the room you're going to put it in.
And because bigger TVs cost more, you don't want to waste money on a set that's larger than you need. The right size depends on the distance between where you sit and where the TV will be placed. If you're 6 feet away, the space can comfortably take up to a 26-inch television. If you're perched about 9 feet away, get yourself anything up to 39 inches. 13 feet away means a 46-inch telly won't have you straining your eyes to watch. If your sofa is 15 feet away, you can comfortably view a 55-inch set. And if you live in a palace and luxuriously sit 17 feet or more away, then go as large as you can afford.
Now that's what I call a big telly.
So now you know about the format and the size, can you get away with picking a cheaper model? We'll be back with the answer a little later. But first, we're heading outside to the illuminations. The displays run the length of the seafront, using more than 200 miles of electrical cabling and more than 1 million light bulbs.
But here's the thing. Even though this display is becoming bigger, brighter and more elaborate, the electricity bill is going down. How can that be?
I've been invited behind the scenes to the factory where it all happens to find out if we can make similar savings at home.
I've been with the Illuminations 26 years now.
Richard Ryan leads a team of engineers that work all year to design and build the show.
My interest started when I was 7, so it's some form of illness for me. That's pretty sad, isn't it?
And, no, it's not. It's wonderful. It's wonderful that because the Illuminations are so magical, and I love that you're so passionate about it.
I mean, like any job, there are days when you wake up and you go, I don't fancy this. But there are far more days when I think, brilliant, let's get stuck in and do something.
With this level of enthusiasm, surely Richard's the man to shed some light on their falling electricity costs.
These are the old lights. This is traditional illuminations. The big problem with those from an energy point of view, basically, when it's on, it's kind of warm here. You can warm your hands on it, therefore 5 times the cost of running it.
They look amazing, but they cost a fortune to run.
That's the problem with them, basically.
But technology has very much changed.
So on this desk, there are 4 different types of lamp. This is an old-school filament lamp. They're almost obsolete now. And this one here is a halogen lamp. This is the sort of the next generation.
So that's pretty widely available. I recognise that in the supermarket, those are the cheapest.
Yeah, but they don't tend to last as long, you see. So a lot of people have gone to this type. This is called a compact fluorescent.
To me, that's an energy-saving light bulb. Is that the same thing?
Yeah, it was sort of one of the first types of energy-saving light bulb. But on the left, this is sort of the way we've gone in the Illuminations. I mean, all these lights behind us here, these are all LED.
I remember when the LED light bulbs first came out, they were very, very expensive.
As with all new technologies, they're expensive at first, and gradually they'll come down. And, you know, if you compare the brightness of this, I mean, basically, if you look at them all together...
Yes.
60 watt,
yeah.
33, 11, 5.
That's 5 watts.
Which one do you think is the most efficient?
Well, that is 5 watts. It came on immediately. It's as bright as the others. That's incredible.
You've got your answer, haven't you?
And that's precisely why the Illuminations have switched to LED.
This is an example of LED. It's using a fraction of the power.
It's not warm at all.
No. Most of the energy that goes into making that flash literally turns it into light and not heat, so...
By switching from the traditional bulbs to LEDs, how much have you saved?
We've cut our consumption by 1/3.
1/3? That's a huge amount of cash.
You can take into the domestic environment and save yourself a fortune. On
average, we have 34 bulbs in our home. Using halogen will cost £203 a year. Energy-saving CFL bulbs, just £72. But switching to LED will see your annual lighting bill slashed to just £48. There is an initial outlay for the bulbs, around £5.50 each, but given the savings, you'll quickly recoup the costs.
So I'm using energy-saving light bulbs at the moment in my house. Should I go out tomorrow and replace them with LED light bulbs? Am I going to save a lot of money?
I think that what you should do is let those fail, and when they fail, replace them with those. And then gradually, you'll see that your bills will start to drop, and you're going to save the planet as well. So what's better than that?
Question. Most of us shave, so why are women's razors routinely more expensive than men's? On average, disposables are about 20p more. For reusables, it's £1. Yes, we get fancy smells and moisture strips, but does the extra cost make female razors better? Let's find out with the help of the Harlequins ladies rugby team. Each of our volunteers will shave one leg with a women's razor.
Shave well, though.
And the other with an equivalent, but cheaper, men's.
I do feel like I need to be more cautious with this.
Yeah.
So, what's the consensus?
I found that the shave feels pretty much the same afterwards.
It takes a bit longer to shave with the man's one than the female one, but it does the exact same thing, really.
The men's razors did have a close shave, but I'd probably pay the little extra and have the women's one, just for a bit more comfort.
I wouldn't be opposed to buying the men's razor. It really isn't that much of a difference.
So it's 3-1 in favour of saving some dosh and switching to men's razors. Guardian beauty columnist Sally Hughes thinks they've reached the right conclusion.
You're paying more money for all that stuff they stick on it to entice you to buy, and you simply don't need it. I think women would rather a product that worked and that cost a decent price. And anyway, whichever marketing person decided that as a woman I want everything to be bright pink is completely deluded.
Now, top tips from our decorators to help you get more value out of the gear you buy.
I'm Helen, and I've been in this business longer than I care to mention. My daughter's in it now, Naveen.
I followed my mum into the business, so you could say I'm a chip off the old block. When you're using emulsion paint and you're not quite finished and you want to keep the brush, pop it in a plastic bag, wrap it up, and that should keep for a good few days. If it's really airtight, then you can keep it for a good few weeks.
If you've got some old lumpy paint, don't throw it away. Simply put a pair of tights, old tights, over a pot, pour it through, you'll have lovely, smooth, creamy paint, no lumps, ready to use again.
When preparing woodwork, you'd usually use sandpaper. But if the woodwork's next to glass, the sandpaper will scratch it. So the best thing to do is use wire wool. It'll do exactly the same job, but it won't scratch the glass.
If you've got paint on your light fittings, this is a great way of getting them off, even if it's been there for months. Methylated spirits on an absorbent cloth. Wipe it away, and great, Bob's your uncle, all off.
Back inside the Empress Ballroom, it's round 3 of our TV tango. Earlier, our audiovisual experts, Ross and Karen, decided what format you should be spending your money on.
4K is not going to go away. A better picture is a better picture.
4K was the clear winner, but what kind of cash are we talking? Does spending more guarantee you'll get a better TV? Or can some of the cheaper models deliver a viewing experience that's every bit as good? We've selected 3 55-inch TVs from across the price range. A Hisense at £699, an LG at £1,099, and the most expensive we could find, the Sony Bravia at £1,899. Now our experts are going to compare the sound and picture quality of each set to decide which one to buy and why.
It's the cheapest one that we have in the test.
First, the Hisense.
I think the colours look a bit false. They're not very naturalistic. I mean, you're getting a 4K television for that money. For the price, you are getting a very nice image.
Sound expert Karen is assessing the audio.
Let's turn it up and see what the speakers are like.
It's his first chance to mate.
Well, that's not...
The females stand in a line awaiting...
Well, that's not brilliant, because the sound just seems to be coming from behind the television.
Their back legs.
So if this was against your wall, the sound would just hit your wall.
Next, the mid-price television.
The LG image for me looks a lot more naturalistic. I think the colour depth is absolutely fantastic. It's a really nice image.
It's time to separate the men from the boys.
OK, well, this one's not much better. It's not got a lot of power to it because it's thin. They're trying to install small speakers into it. So the quality of the speakers in both of these don't really match the picture.
So finally, the most expensive television.
The Sony Bravia LED.
Again, very naturalistic colours. Not much to choose between these two.
Right, this one's quite interesting because the speakers seem to be mounted on the front and coming towards me. A much better quality of sound. And it works much better with the picture as well.
To take every opportunity.
The sound is now coming from the picture. And I can hear it much more clearly.
So it's decision time.
You've had a chance to fully interrogate the televisions. Which do you think gives you the best value for money?
Is it our most expensive set, the Sony, at £1,899?
Well, I think the increase in price is probably more to do with the audio than it is to do with the picture quality.
How about the budget option, the £699 Hisense?
I'm tempted by the cheaper one, but if you had that a bit extra to spend, I would go for the mid-range.
So the £1,099 LG is our expert's top value TV.
I think you can get the mid-price set and you can do what you want with the audio at a far more reasonable cost.
So follow Karen's advice and get good external speakers or a soundbar for as little as £85. Far less than the extra £800 you'll pay for the Sony.
So we have a clear winner.
Yes, the LG is the mid-price 4K.
In response, Hisense said this is an entry-level set, so shouldn't be compared to more expensive ones, but it's confident its products stand up to competition. It says the downward speakers improve audio by reflecting sound off solid surfaces. Sony says its TVs provide clear pictures no matter the definition, and their enhanced audio gives a more immersive, lifelike listening experience.
Job done. Popcorn time, obviously. Yeah?
That's it from Blackpool. Next week, we'll be in the West End's biggest theatre and home of the English National Opera. Their wardrobe department tests the latest steam generator irons.
So the fiddly bit.
We ask the prop builders if you can get away with buying a power drill that costs less than £75.
Just hanging in there!
And we'll have more invaluable tricks of the trade.
If you've got a pair of shoes at home that are too stiff and pinch, a few seconds with a warm hairdryer will soften the leather, making it much more comfortable to wear.
Next on BBC Two, our destination is the Caribbean island where you can have big money and not pay a penny of tax. Britain's £1 trillion paradise inside Cayman.
Get away.